everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today, we're going to be talking about when society holds you back. So specifically, I had somebody message me the other day. This individual is in Africa and was asking me, what do I do in my situation? Because I live in a country and a continent that's, gaming, esports, streaming, that sort of stuff really hasn't kind of taken hold as it has, say, in North America or in Asia or in Europe or in Australia or the South Asian Pacific area. Like, what can I do when like all of my society is telling me that I need to stop having these dreams and I need to do something else? So my advice for you is multifaceted, meaning there's lots of different parts to this. But my first thing I have to say is, if you don't have any other means of providing for yourself, okay, if you're not making any other money, you don't have any food coming, if you don't have a roof over your head, you need to focus on the things that'll get that for you. Okay. Gaming it's still kind of in its infancy all over the world. It's only really in the past 10, 15, 20 years on the high end that people have really found a way to make any type of money out of gaming. And so if the area that you're at is not quite there yet, you may want to consider, building your gaming career on the side while you're providing for yourself. Okay. Now, if that's not the issue, if you are fully employed, if you have streams of income coming in and you have ways of surviving, well, then at that point, what do you care what anybody in your community, anybody in your country or society has to say? Because I don't know if you've noticed, but we live in an internet age nowadays where you have billions of people accessible to you right now that you can contact, that you can reach out to, that you can touch in some way. And you can get them to follow you. You can get them to buy from you. You can get those people to get in on your brand and want to support you and be part of your community. It doesn't have to be people who are just where you're at. And, it's funny because I interviewed somebody months and months and months ago. At this point, I don't remember when, but I interviewed somebody and I remember this person saying something along the lines of the reason why they weren't any bigger than they are was because the fact that their small community, there wasn't much to it. It was a small town. They didn't have like much opportunity. And it blew my mind then too. Like, you have the internet. You don't have to, like, the world is your community now. You don't have to be limited by your geographic location anymore. So long as you have an internet connection somehow, whether that's at your house or somewhere down the road that you can go to reasonably without danger, go to the internet and figure out how to build something there. Because, being a business consultant, right, a business coach, for years and years now, I keep hearing about the death of retail. And by that, I mean, especially here in the States, the internet and social media just like slammed into the fact that retail locations, brick and mortar businesses with like an actual location people had to go to in order to be able to buy from them, those businesses were closing at a phenomenal rate. People were just not able to figure out how to sell stuff online. Like, why would I want to get get dressed, two, get in my car, drive down to wherever that store is, then have to search through the store for the one thing I'm looking for. Then I got to go up to the counter, pull out my payment, hand it to them, drive home, and then, have the ability to use the thing. When, nowadays I can just go online. I can go to any particular website, honestly, order the thing I want. And depending on the shipping, I might get it in a couple days. I might get it tomorrow, or in a week or so. Like, yeah, I got to wait a little bit, but I don't have any of that hassle of having to get in, get dressed, go down. It's a matter of people's preferences ultimately. But so many business owners, retail business owners, brick and mortar businesses just couldn't understand why anybody would want to wait that week. A lot of people just couldn't conceptually conceive of the fact that people didn't want the thing right now. And so because of that, so many people weren't willing to build out their online store capabilities. They weren't willing to actually get on the internet in the way that they needed to. They weren't getting onto social media the way they needed to in order to market to people, in order to get them to their store. People just kind of thought old economy, which was you open a store, people will eventually come to you. And it just doesn't work that way anymore. So if you're in Africa, or if you're in Southeast Asia, or if you're in South America, or you're in some other location where, it seems like times may be tough where you're at. You could be in the United States or in Europe or Canada, it doesn't matter. If where you're at, times seem tough, and it doesn't seem like your community is the right place for you, it doesn't seem like that you have much going on where you're physically located, take solace in the fact that you don't have to be where you're at in order to be successful online. It doesn't matter. So long as you speak the language of the people that you're trying to sell to, you can try to sell to anybody on the planet. So, I'm fairly certain the guy who asked me to do this particular topic wanted to stream. You have the same shot, honestly, as anybody else in the world at being a streamer. You do not have to limit yourself to your geographic region, okay? If you speak English and you communicated to me via English, so I'm assuming you speak English, you have the ability to target English audiences. And they have money. They have much more money than most people in Africa do. So target those people. If they can give you donations, you may be much, much better off than anybody else in your community. Next thing you know, people are going to be asking you how they can follow in your footsteps and grow and develop in the interests that they want to be passionate about, not just what they think they have to do in order to survive, to struggle to survive. All right. So, ultimately it comes down to just how determined are you? How dedicated are you to making your dream your reality? And I'm not going to blow smoke up anybody's butt, or to not use a colloquialism. I'm not going to try to mislead you here. It may take you time. And honestly, it probably will take you a substantial amount of time in order to figure out how you're going to be marketing to people, what types of communities you want following, what kinds of gimmick you have that get people to want to stick and watch you. You have to have a gimmick nowadays. If you don't have something, you're just one of the 2 million plus people on Twitch. Like, that's just Twitch, not counting all of the other streaming platforms out there. There's tons of different streaming platforms out there. Mixer's long gone, but there's YouTube and Facebook and Caffeine and others. There's lots of others. You have to be aware of the fact that it's not going to be you just turn this on and you're good to go. It's never like that. The only way that you can make that happen is if you already have a lot of money and you're able to invest that money into advertising in order to get people to start following you. If you're broke, if you don't have the money, it's the time. There's only two ways to get anything done in this world. It's either time or money. So if you have no money, you got to put in the time, you got to put in the labor, you've got to stay up late, you got to get up early, you got to get friends to help you, you got to make friends to find people to help you, you got to do whatever it takes in order to get more time onto that, into your calculation. Because, we all get 24 hours in a day, and the people who are successful know how to use their 24 hours better than everybody else. That's really it. That's it. There's no other difference. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, there's luck or connections or, they have money. Like, honestly, that doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things. If you know how to go down the street and ask a business for $10,000 in a way that will get them to give you $10,000, it's not going to take you a lot of time in order to figure out to who you need to talk to in order to get $10,000. It's just a numbers game at that point. Okay. And that's what most sales ultimately is. It's a numbers game. So if you are able to have the confidence in yourself that you know that you have something that will help somebody or something, or you'll provide some amount of entertainment to people in a way that's unique or fresh or gets people excited, and you can get out there and you can just try to reach more and more and more people, guaranteed some number of people are going to follow you. Some number of people are going to buy from you. Some number of people are going to join you on this journey of yours, because that's just how it works. There's not much complicated about making money in this world. People make it complicated because they get told things when they're young. They get told, things like, there's, nothing easy, is, what's the phrase I was just thinking of? Nothing good ever comes easy, right? I've heard that one. That one drives me nuts because, often when I'm talking to a client, I'm like, oh, all you got to do is go do this, market this way, and it's all easy. And it's true. It's ultimately easy how to do these things. It may take some work. Easy does not necessarily mean without work. It just means it's not necessarily complicated. Something that's easy, maybe 1, 2, 3 steps long. You do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, until eventually it works out. That's ultimately what sales is. Right? You prospect, meaning you go figure out who you want to try to sell to. You communicate the value that you want to add to their lives, and then you try to close them. It's 3 steps. There's not much more to it. I mean, I've done different trainings where I've said, well, you do these 5 things, you do these 3 things, these 4 things. Ultimately, you have to find who you want to pitch. You pitch them, and then you ask them for the money. If you don't ask for the money, you're never going to get the money. But that's sales. It sounds easy, right? It is easy. It's not complex. It's not complicated. It's not like 53 different steps you got to go through. In the thrill of the moment, you might have to overcome objections, but that's just a matter of getting them to understand the value of what you're providing to them. That was step 2, right? So if you can get them to understand the value of what you're providing to them in a way that they no longer have any questions, and they understand the fact this will benefit them in some way, all you got to do is ask for the money at that point. That's what I learned way, way back when my very first job out of law school, my first private practice job out of law school. I was an attorney, and it was already a thriving practice. We had little old men and little old ladies coming in all the time, and because we already had marketing going, and they sit in front of me, and I had never gotten a client to agree to give me money before that point, but I told them what I knew. And I knew that they needed this, this, and this. I knew it because that's what my training had told me. I knew it. And you need this, this, and this. And because they believed that I believed it was true, they were willing to give me the money when I asked for it. And that was it. And even today, I will go find a business who has a need. I will tell them, you need to do X, Y, and Z, 1, 2, 3, or some number of things. I had a client or potential client recently ask for 10 things. They want 10 things they can do. I'm like, okay, I'll try to come up with 10, but I did. You always give the client what they want because they're going to tell you what they want. Just do it, right? It's easy. And it's easy. You tell them, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to do these 3 things for you. And once they're convinced those are the 3 things that they want, and that they need in order to take themselves or their business forward, then you ask for money and you tell them, this is how much I charge in order to do this. If they're not happy with the amount, well, you can go, okay, well, you can go find someone else to do it for you, or you can get started now and we'll get you these things in place and you're not gonna have to worry about it ever again. You'll be able to start making money faster, make it, more effectively, more efficiently. Your staff will be better off, all those things. You give them the value that they get, and then you ask for the money. So ultimately, I'm kind of getting back and forth on this topic. The gentleman from Africa that this particular episode is dedicated to, don't stop caring what people around you have to think about what you want to do in your life. Okay. So long as you're able to provide for yourself and a family, if you have already made those commitments, if you have a family that you are committed to, so as in a spouse and children, okay? Your parents, I know cultures all over the world are different. My stance on that is parents die. Everybody's parents die. Everybody dies ultimately. We're only truly responsible for the people that we have to be responsible for. And in my personal opinion, that is my wife or my spouse and my child or my children. Okay. Beyond that, everybody else should have figured out a way to be responsible for themselves. So if people around you are trying to hold you back, if they're trying to tell you that you need to be doing something else because it's their opinion that you are on the wrong track, you don't have to listen to them. Find a way. Come up with a plan. I end almost every episode or every single one of these solos with, organization is the enemy of sloth. If you aren't certain how to pull this off, if you're not sure what you need to do, I can guarantee you're most likely not going to take the actions that'll get you there. Take some time, do the research. Most people do not do research. Most people are terrified of research. I saw this when I was in high school. I was at the top of almost every single class I took, but I never took like the super advanced classes because I wanted the easy way through high school. I knew what high school was. It was a stepping stone to college, and college was a stepping stone to law school, and law school was a stepping stone to a real job. And I knew the game. I figured it all out when I was real young. You just have to do what you need to do in order to get the grade, okay? And the step one to get the grade, no matter what it is you're trying to do, is research. You have to know what you're doing. You have to be certain that you're on the right path, taking the right actions. If you are not certain, then uncertainty will be the thing that brings you down because you're not going to be organized, and you're going to eventually start to find that you're finding excuses for not doing the things that you know deep down in your gut, in your soul, that you should be doing. And because you're not doing them, you're not having the future that you really want. You have to be organized. You have to take the time, figure these things out. Once you've done the research, then chart out a plan of action. Don't try to get everything done in one day. Get a little bit done on day one, then a little bit done day two, a little bit done day three. And you take care of these small steps. Before you know it, the big steps got taken care of and you didn't even realize it happened. All right? So that's what I got for you all today. Hopefully this is helping somebody. Hopefully the person who requested this particular topic actually does see this. If not, if anybody else is out there watching this, I hope this helps you. I really do. Don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.